Okay, I'll get us started and let you know. And we're all set.
All right, thank you, Dave. Good morning. This is a convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, public meeting number 519. I am Jordan Maynard, and I am serving as interim chair of the commission. This meeting is being held virtually, so we will do a roll call. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning, I'm here.
And good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
It's approximately 10:04 on June 3rd, 2024. Before we begin, I will just want to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. In Massachusetts, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of being the first state in the nation to legalize marriage equality, and that's something we should all be proud of. With that said, we are now going to kick it to the Director of Sports Wagering for presentations of the Q1 quarterly reports from our sports wagering operators. Commissioners, we do have slides, so as always, feel free to raise your hand or interject with any questions or comments you may have during the presentation. And as I stated before the meeting, we are now on 2 or 3 different pages of slides for boxes, so please just let me know. With that, we will kick it to you, Director Band, Crystal Boschman, and Andrew Steffen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm going to kick it over to Crystal Boschman to lead this off. Crystal.
Thank you. I don't have a lot by the way of speaking points today. It is the 2024 Q1 report, and it actually all of our category 3 operators will be presenting today. So we will just let BetMGM kick it off.
Thank you very much, commissioners and MGC staff, for having us. I have my team here who will be presenting per normal course. I'm Sarah Brennan, Senior Director of Compliance. Richard Eggy from our team will be sharing our slide deck. So Rich, if you could pull it up.
Yep, just give me a second here, I'll pull it up. And then, there we go.
Okay, you can go ahead and skip to revenue, which is our first slide. In Q1, BetMGM saw a revenue total of 10.1 million, with just over 2 million paid to the state in taxes. Next slide. Jaleel from our team will be presenting on human resources next.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you all this morning. I'm Jaleel, and I continue to lead DE&I in the interim for BetMGM. I've been in the role for really a year now, and it's been amazing to see this work continue to elevate and take our company to the next level. So taking a look first at some of our representational data, our company continues to grow, and we can't wait to see what's in store for the future. As of end of Q1, our employee base totaled 1,349 employees, with 41% identifying as a minority, 35% as women, and our veteran population remains steady. Are there any questions on this slide? Awesome. Thank you.
Hearing none.
Okay, vendor utility is next. Our total vendor spend went up in Q1 to 209,782,911. And our diverse and small only, diverse only, MBE, VBE, and WBE numbers are listed for Q1 as well. As you know, everything fluctuates per quarter depending on such factors as marketing, campaigns, and different sort of infrastructure costs. So slight decrease in the diversity spend in Q1, but tends to fluctuate up and down quarter to quarter. For local vendor utility spend, we went up in Q1 to just over 1 million. And our MBE spend over Q4 and Q1 was approximately 40,000, and for small business, just under 13,000. I'm going to pass it off to Alana, who has not presented to you all yet, but she is our responsible gambling program manager underneath our director, Rich Taylor, who typically presents on RG, but Alana is presenting today and will do an amazing job presenting what we've done in the last quarter.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and good morning, members of the commission. I'll jump right into the compliance portion. So for Q1 2024, we identified one underage patron. Just note that this patron was identified due to location jumping and also a mismatching of payment methods. So this person was identified and it is on pace with what we did last quarter. Jumping right into the responsible gaming slides. On the screen, you'll see in Q1 the total percentage of customers using the cool off feature. It looks about standard for the market size in Massachusetts and also the maturity of the market. So we have a lot of fun stuff on the horizon in the responsible gaming area. As you know, Q1, we celebrate every year Problem Gambling Awareness Month in unison with the National Council on Problem Gambling. So for the month, you can go to the next slide, Rich. Some of the highlights we have on the screen here, we did a combination of various activities throughout the month to raise awareness, both internally and externally. So some of the things you'll see on the screen are press release, web banner, customer emails, Epic Global Solution sessions, employee-facing activities, and also a social media campaign. So the press release really highlighted the our KindBridge relationship. So this is a really first of its kind relationship between a mental health provider and an operator. So for BetMGM, what that means is those who are closing where we're closing their accounts or they are self-excluding, we are providing them a direct link to licensed mental health services. And not only direct mental health services, but those specifically trained to engage in treatment for problem gambling. So we started off this relationship in just Colorado, and in Q1, we expanded it into several other states. One we're really proud of is expanding it to Massachusetts. We're really excited to see the results of this campaign, and we'll be excited in the future to report out on some of the details of how that's working out in Massachusetts. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning, Alana.
Good morning, Commissioner
When was
Skinner.
the rollout of this partnership in Massachusetts?
So we rolled this out starting in March.
March. Okay. And you would be prepared to come back next quarter with some preliminary data on the utilization of that program?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the details of the partnership is collecting the data on the utilization of the tool and how many people from each individual state are reaching out and utilizing it. So absolutely would love to share that information with you as soon as we have more.
That'd be great. And really, you know, you mentioned the other jurisdictions. I'd be interested in those data on those other jurisdictions as well, just for comparison's sake. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner.
So we also, to just raise awareness about PGAM and also integrate some information about our GameSense RG tools, we did an email campaign to our customers throughout the month of March. Additionally, to raise awareness, we had social media campaigns running on both X and Instagram throughout the month to highlight the different themes of PGAM, and again, really highlighting our game sense tools that we have available. So this one we are very, very excited about. We launched our first standalone RG commercial. You know, we heard some of the concerns from the MGC about not having enough awareness around RG tools and wanting to see the usage go up. And we really wanted to, first of all, produce our first responsible gaming commercial, but the subject matter of this commercial specifically highlights the need for players to set those RG tools and utilize those RG tools. This is the first of many commercials that we hope to come, and we have more exciting stuff on the horizon. We aired this on March 8th, and it features our BetMGM ambassador and NHL player Connor McDavid. If you watch and follow the NHL, he is a pretty big star in the NHL. And again, we just really wanted to hone in on the subject of the ad to be promoting awareness of our BetMGM tools. So I believe that this video will actually play if we want to take a watch. I don't think we can hear it.
Yeah, we're having some audio issues, which happens. I believe Dave and Mills are on. There's a way that you've got to set the audio up to actually make it go across the screen.
Okay, if somebody had guidance how to do that, I could try to rewind it and hook the audio up. Otherwise, we could go to the next slide.
Yeah, it may have to do with the so in the bottom left corner of your screen, there's a little small microphone, and if you look at the kind of pop-up menu attached to that, it might be just whatever your other audio settings or microphone selection options are.
Let me see here.
I can also see if Tom's available to help out. I know he was having some computer issues as well. Or Tom is telling me apparently there's an option to share with sound, it looks like.
So let me see here, possibly.
It's worth it, we promise.
This is not the first time we
Share. Here we go. I think this will work.
No pressure, Rich. It's just a public meeting.
No, not at all. Just on the fly, completely unprepared, and my tech knowledge here just dropped. So let's see if this works.
Dude, did you know BetMGM has responsible gambling tools so you don't get carried away?
I never get carried away. Well, there were the bobbleheads. And the playoff beer.
Chili's ready!
Well, those tools could really help.
Don't forget about the backyard rink.
Yeah, these tools are pretty great.
BetMGM is committed to making gambling safe and fun with responsible gambling tools, so you don't get carried away.
So as I said, we're really excited about the commercial. We're excited for the things we have in store for the future. More to come in that area. Any questions about that?
Commissioners? None.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Commissioner Hill.
the only thing I would add is I've actually seen the commercial, I think, on
Yay.
many of our sports here in Boston. And the only reason I remember is the beard and the chili, which made me laugh. Because that's something I would do. So yes, we have seen it, and it's definitely flying here in Boston.
I love that. We're going to share that with our creative team. More beard and chili commercials for Commissioner Hill.
Remind me not to eat at Commissioner Hill's house come fall.
True. So, as I mentioned, we had a lot of external campaigns going for PGAM, but we also wanted to hit internally for our employees. So we did send out weekly emails to our employees, just stating the understanding of problem gambling, the importance of it, and also just highlighting many of the tools that we have through GameSense, and also highlighting our Epic Global Solutions sessions, which we'll talk about later. So we also engaged employees in daily dose sessions. We host daily all employee meetings weekly. And throughout the month of March, we actually had space in 5 of those segments just to bring awareness to and educate employees about PGAM. We also culminated all of that with a trivia session, which was really fun and engaging for our employees. So I talked earlier about Epic Global Solutions. Throughout the month, we held 4 Epic Global Solutions sessions. These are really important for our employees, and here's why. During these sessions, we bring in people with lived experience. So these are people that have experienced problem gambling firsthand, and we have found these to be incredibly engaging to our employees and also informative. So we live in a digital world where we're not always touching customers face to face. We're not always seeing the problems that go on. And this is an opportunity for those individuals to become real to our employees. So they talk about their experiences with gambling. They talk about the impact it's had on their lives and some of the strategies they've had to recover. And I think that these messages really resonate with employees. And I don't just think that they do. I know that they do because we get a lot of comments on these sessions from everywhere from our executive level team members to some of our customer service team members, just saying that they remember these sessions and they remember these sessions during interactions with our patrons. Any questions on those? And then also something in Q1 that came forth was ROGA. So this is a partnership that BetMGM is participating in with other operators in the online space. And really the pillars of ROGA are pushing forward responsible gaming research, promoting best practices, consumer education and awareness, promoting a universal self-exclusion list, and also doing independent an independent certification program. So this is really to bring forth the operators in the space to come up with real solutions to issues that are going on in the online space. We're really proud to be a part of it. And we've just convened meetings internally and had board meetings, and BetMGM has a board member on this organization. And I think that about wraps it up for me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for the BetMGM team? We can probably take that slide down, if you don't mind, Rich.
We
Well,
still
do we have?
We still have a few slides, Commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was on the wrong slide on my computer, so okay. Thank you. I have 2 sets up. I have the one you sent over before, and I have the one you're running right now. So,
my portion is brief here about the lottery. Chairman and Commissioners, very nice to see you all again. For our lottery update this quarter, BetMGM is still actively having conversations with the lottery to explore a potential partnership. I don't have any concrete details that I can provide at this time, but the conversations are still active, and there's an exchange of ideas between the 2 parties. So I hope to have something more concrete to report next quarter. Awesome. As I mentioned earlier, I'm so happy to report that DEI at BetMGM continues to be a critical area for our success as a business. So I'm just going to take you a little bit through some of these things. Through the first 6 months of this year, I've partnered across our organization to understand employee needs, our felt culture from the diverse perspectives that we have here. And then we really co-created strategic priorities with these stakeholders to address and acknowledge these areas of opportunity over the next 1 to 3 years. So firstly, we will be assessing our people team functions and evaluating how our processes and ways of working result in positive outcomes of DE&I. I want our leaders to feel empowered to make informed decisions, build diverse teams, of course, and then ensure that our processes from an HR perspective prevent discrimination and reinforce a positive culture of inclusion, belonging and respect, from our learning and development to the ways we collect data to our total rewards, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe that's an organization that our employees, number one, want to work with, and then two, deserve to work with. Secondly, we have our employee resource groups who really drive our employee engagement from a DE&I perspective, as well as enhance the broader employee experience within BetMGM. I work closely with our 7 ERG leadership teams to understand the unique needs of the different employee communities. And then we put a comprehensive strategy in place at the program and community level. And I'll go through more about that in just a second. And then finally, we have our Empower Mentorship program, which is designed to provide our ERG members with ample opportunities to grow their careers. We pair our mentees with key leaders in the business. And so for 6 months and beyond, our pairings connect. They provide guidance on growing their careers. And you can go to the next slide, Rich. Perfect. So as I mentioned earlier, I want to highlight the amazing work our ERGs are doing to enhance our culture. We set in place our broad ERG strategy fashioned with 3 strategic outcomes, which were psychological safety, inclusion, and engagement. And then from there, we empowered our ERG leadership teams and their executive sponsors to create their own priorities based on the unique needs of their communities. So as you can see here, we have our 7 ERGs, and below are their pillars. And what we're really seeing is that many of these communities and our employees want to focus on community building, professional development, and some form of community development as well. So for example, our Black Employee Network, who prioritizes networking opportunities and development for their members, they actually just returned from the Black Sports Business Symposium that took place in Atlanta, Georgia. So they were able to connect with various industry leaders, make relationships across the sports landscape, things of that nature. So that ERG leadership team really advocated for this opportunity, and we were proud to make that happen. But that's just one example of how the ERGs are engaged with their members and delivering on what our employees are asking for. Any questions so far?
Questions, commissioners? I think we're good, Jalil.
Awesome, thank you. With that said, we also have—
Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't get my mute button off fast enough. I was having trouble. I do have a question. Really just a comment. Jalil, good morning. I'm going to continue to push to see goals attached to your workforce diversity efforts. Jalil, if I remember correctly, you were before us for the first time last quarter, but your colleagues certainly have been participating in these meetings for quite some time and understand the importance this commission places on diversity. And I think that it's important that you institute those to present to us, because it gives you an opportunity and us to measure the effectiveness, your recruitment and retention of people of color and women in the workplace, veterans. But then it also speaks to your intentionality with respect to those efforts. And so during the application process, we had talked a lot about sportsbooks developing a diversity plan, and even with respect to diversity spend. And I have to say again, that is really important. And so hopefully this time you take it to heart and we start to see some real planning around that. And kudos to you on your ERG efforts. I see you do have a focus on DEI, and I think that is important, and you're doing the right things. But just with respect to those specific data points, it would be helpful for me to see some progress there. Thank
I
you.
really appreciate that, Commissioner Skinner. It's definitely a priority for me to have that goal setting in place. And so looking forward to bringing that back to this body very, very soon.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on Commissioner Skinner's question? All right, thank you.
Awesome. With that said, we also have other examples of how our organization is impacting our community and our employees. Our Black Employee Network hosted a representation panel to provide thought leadership on how to chart the path forward to achieving representation and why this is so critical for our business. Secondly, our Women's ERG partnered with our Bet on Bets community to host a day-long professional workshop and fireside chat with former Navy pilot Lori Draghi. Here, some of our members were able to learn about really how to soar into joy, the trials that we all face in our lives, and how to apply that motivation, dedication, and discipline within our careers. And they also hosted a panel where the community really broke bread on work-life balance, allyship, and more. And then finally, within our external community, our Impact ERG and Employee Experience function joined forces to send ERG members into the DMV community and participate in the neighborhood festivities and parade to celebrate the new season. So our business, and more specifically our ERGs, are looking to reach out into the community, and there are more initiatives planned for later in the year across multiple groups. You can go to the next slide. I also wanted to go into a little more detail about our mentorship program. Empower is set to kick off at the start of July. And as I mentioned before, the purpose of this program is to provide professional growth opportunities and mentorship to ERG members, many of whom are from historically marginalized, underrepresented backgrounds. We took a lot of time to craft the criteria that our mentors would have to satisfy to be considered. And this is because we want to empower the next generation of leaders at BetMGM with intention and purpose. And so our mentors are senior leadership in key areas from across our business so that we can provide the best expertise possible. We also encourage our mentees to be drivers of their mentoring relationships so that they can ensure that they're learning and developing in the way that they want to, and that they discuss the topics that are important to them and that they're passionate about their mentors. And this is a program that has been long asked for within BetMGM. So we're extremely excited to launch the second cohort this year. And then finally, a little bit about our internship program that is set to kick off next week. As with the mentorship program, this will also be our second year doing this internship program, and it's really to reach into our community and help aspiring professionals gain exposure to the sports wagering industry, drive their career interest in sports, technology, products, etc. And we partnered with leaders across the business to understand where there could be best fit. And so we'll be welcoming 7 new interns to the business across several critical areas at BetMGM. So within our finance, human resources, compliance, brand marketing, public relations, and customer service operations. And that really concludes all things DEI for us today. Are there any final questions, commissioners, that I can help answer?
No further questions.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, any final questions or final observations from BetMGM? All right, I'm seeing none. Well, thank you all. We appreciate you coming in and going over those slides, and look forward to seeing all the improvements in the next quarter, understanding that we may get some more information that Commissioner Skinner asked for. Somebody is off mute, and we are getting a lot of feedback. Can everybody check their mute button? Thank you. All right, Crystal.
Thank you to Sarah and the BetMGM team. And I look forward to seeing some of you guys next week. I know some of you will be at NAGRA. Next we have Caesars, and I did see Curtis. I'm not sure if I saw Lisa, but oh, yep, I see Lisa. So I think we're all set to move over to Caesars.
That's good. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for the opportunity to present our Q1 quarterly report today. Introducing the Caesars team. Can you guys see my slides?
We can see the
Yes.
slides, but Curtis, you're a little broke up on audio.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback on the audio from someone from the Caesars team.
Sorry, it's probably me. That's better.
The Caesars team, Lisa Rankin, VP of Compliance and Licensing, Greg Schimber, our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Dave Schulte, our VP of Procurement, and Caroline Layugan, our Responsible Gaming Program Director, as well as myself. To start, we'll look at revenue for Q1, and as shown on the slide, we did pretty well in Q1 versus Q4, slightly lower in February with the, of course, in the NFL season, but we upticked greatly with March Madness toward the end of the quarter there. Are there any questions on this slide? Okay, great. If not, I'll turn it over to Greg to discuss workforce diversity.
Perfect. Thank you, Curtis, and good morning to the commission. Thanks for having us on. My name is Greg Schimber. Pronouns are he and him, and I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Before I get started, I would like just to recognize Pride Month, and I personally identify with the community, and I'm particularly thankful for the state of Massachusetts for being the first state to legalize same-sex marriage. So definitely want to point that out. All right, what we'd like to do is show our work within the workforce. So from a workforce perspective, we continue to strive for excellence by embracing diversity and creating a diverse workforce of team members. And so we do this by celebrating individuals and incorporating equitable policies and an inclusive culture. So our policies and processes throughout the organization have been designed to encourage the broadest possible diverse representation and to ensure that each person, each team member has the opportunity to succeed. Although we may have mentioned this in past presentations, I'd like to share our goals to achieve full gender and racial parity across our organization in accordance with the following commitments by 2025. So as far as women representation, we are looking for 50% representation in leadership roles held by women within both the mid-level and senior leadership population. Also, on the racial ethnic side, we want to achieve a 50% representation in leadership roles held by people of color. And we also commit to increasing representation of people of color in senior leadership by 50%. Our commitment to these goals remains solid, and grow our organization. As we grow our organization going forward, we'll ensure that our recruitment of team members and the development process are aligned behind the stated goals. And we plan to achieve our DEI goals through a range of actions that include reinforcing our DEI culture across all communications, through our training channels, ensuring equitable access to development programs for team members, and then ensuring our hiring processes continue to create opportunities for all identities and backgrounds. So we also have a robust employee resource group, which we refer to as BIGs, or business impact groups. And we utilize these groups to reinforce these DEI initiatives and also providing an inclusive environment. So next slide, please. Thank you. So here I'd like to share our current workforce statistics regarding team member diversity. The numbers you see here are representative of our digital sports wagering business. As you're aware, we do not have a brick and mortar business within the Commonwealth. Therefore, I'd like to highlight our diversity within the digital gaming. So as you'll see here, as far as racial representation, on the executive level, 26% are in an executive role, sorry, apologies. And then 39% manager and supervisor level. I'd like to point out that roughly 37% of manager or supervisor and above to executive level are represented by women. On our veteran side, 3% are also from supervisor to executive representation. And then you'll see our total number of employees down at the bottom right-hand corner. We have roughly 1,500 team members within the digital gaming. And before I pass on, I would like to offer any questions here.
Questions?
Hi, Greg, this is Commissioner O'Brien. I asked this of you, it's not you alone. This is endemic in the industry, but the numbers, particularly on women and particularly at your executive level, are not great. So just wondering what efforts you guys are taking to try to get that up.
So we can, this is just overall in general,
yeah.
But we have a number of programs for development, succession for women in leadership, but also we have these others here that also we understand could use some work. And so through those programs, we are gearing up to have that, but we're also intentionally working with various different programs for bringing individuals probably on the mid-level for that succession planning, understanding though with a low number, that number takes longer to achieve, but our recruitment efforts are focused on that.
And do you guys have projected goals, kind of what Commissioner Skinner was asking? And
I don't have any specific goals to mention to the digital gaming specifically.
Okay, is that something you guys would consider making part of your proactive approach?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Okay, if not, I'll pass it over to Dave to discuss vendor diversity.
Good morning, commissioners. And again, thank you for allowing us to present to you today. Over the last couple of years, as Caesars and Eldorado have continued to merge programs and philosophies and methodologies together, we took a hard look at our diversity program and the way it was being calculated, and we changed some methodology that we feel provides a much clearer and transparent methodology. If anybody wanted to take a hard look and audit the numbers, we feel very confident. Not that we weren't confident before, but the past numbers left some gray areas of interpretation. So we have refined that, and we feel very good about that going forward. As you know, any change in methodology, we ran into some bumps in the road, but we have ironed those out, and we feel very positive about it, about how we calculate our percentages going forward. And although the intent of this presentation or this section of the presentation is to focus on diversity, I'd like to point out that we although we don't have a brick and mortar casino in the Commonwealth, we did spend approximately $38.5 million in addressable spend with Massachusetts-based suppliers in Q1 of 2024. Next slide, please, Curtis. As I stated, we changed methodology, and obviously you see a drop between Q4 and Q1 for our overall diversity. This is not due to the methodology change. This is primarily due to a loss of approximately $15.5 million in diverse spend in the construction area as we wrapped up our permanent facility in Columbus, Nebraska, and those bills were paid in Q4 of 23. Capital spending was a little lighter as far as invoicing goes in Q1. We do anticipate that to jump back up. And as a matter of fact, now we are trending approximately 12.1% in Q2 of 2024. So we feel very optimistic about our diversity spend going forward. And Are there any questions from the commissioners on the percentages or any of the methodology?
We will, I'll just say I commend the spend within the Commonwealth and thank you for highlighting that. Commissioners, any other questions here? Feel free to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide for play management reporting. Since we started reporting on this item Q4, we thought a quarter-over-quarter comparison was a good review until we get to a place where we got a longer history to look at down the line. So on this slide, some fairly balanced patron numbers that use wager and deposit limitations. And these represent the totals for from what I see, the top used limitations within the platform. With RG related clicks, those type of inquiries getting the most activity. So again, as we continue to have these presentations, we'll have more history to work with, and we can certainly provide, as we gain it, more insight on any particular trends. Any questions here?
Seeing none, hearing none.
Okay. Passing along to Caroline for responsible gaming.
Hello, good morning, Commission. Coming from Las Vegas, where the heat is turning up to 3 digits. So we're at probably 101 today, so still trying to stay cool. All right, so what's going on at Caesars with responsible gaming? A lot. So as you can see, our first bullet point, we have 97 Massachusetts State VSE enrollees that are completely suppressed from gaming from our online products and our brick and mortar facilities. When we say suppression, it's across the board, enterprise-wide. We have a great IT team that allows us to suppress mail, gaming privileges, marketing material, just anything and everything relating to gaming for these Massachusetts VSEs. In Q1, we had a lot going on. We kicked off our 2024 mandatory annual RG refresher training on January 23rd. RG annual refresher mandatory training is designated for our front of house customer facing team members, all corporate team members, and our Caesars Digital team members as well. During Q1, during PGAM, we held several RG ambassador training. The RG ambassador training really focuses on team members who are skilled trained to have conversations with guests who make comments or statements, potentially alluding to a gambling problem. The beauty of this program is it is an instructor-led training content. And our team members really engage during the training process. We hear stories from our team members, both at our brick and mortar facilities and online, about comments that they hear or see through chat that our customers make. And when a comment or statement or through chat concerns our team members are empowered to report those comments directly to their supervisor. And our RG ambassadors get engaged to have conversations through the chat or in person with these individuals, offering help resources through responsible gaming options that are available to them, and also local resources to their local Gamanon, Gamblers Anonymous, and also to any suicide crisis counseling services provided. So our RG ambassador training is approximately 2 to 3.5 hours, but we get a lot of engagement from our team members that are doing this training. Also in March, we were very pleased to be accredited by the Responsible Gaming Council in Canada. We sent out a press release on March 28th regarding our Responsible Gaming Council RG check for our online sports betting team, which is highly coveted internationally known. And we look forward to, being reaccredited by the council in 3 years. So I just do want to emphasize our online sports betting business in Ontario has been accredited along with our brick and mortar facility, Caesars Windsor, by the ORG Council. And then also in March, the Caesars Foundation awarded a grant of $250,000 to the International Center for Problem Gambling. We continue to support their efforts with research studies that their academic and grantees offer. So that's what's been happening at Caesars. Any questions with regard to responsible gaming?
Questions, Commissioner? Feel free to move forward.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll pass it over to Lisa for the lottery update.
Good morning, commissioners. Good to be in front of you again this morning. Quick update on our lottery engagement. We had been working with one of our contacts there and had a good strategy in place, but the product that we were looking to leverage on the lottery side has been discontinued. So we are resetting and we'll continue to work with them on a possible product and strategy that we can use to implement for cross-promotional with the lottery. And we'll continue to provide the commission updates on those efforts.
Lisa, good morning. I'm sorry. Could you repeat? I didn't catch what you said had been discontinued. Could you repeat that?
Sure. So it was a product that we were looking at, a lottery product. It was basically the seasonal lottery offerings. And from what we understand, those were discontinued in February. So that was going to be our main product cross strategy. And with that discontinuance, we need to reset and determine what's the best product to use on a cross promotional strategy.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner Skinner? Anybody else?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Greg for community outreach.
Perfect. Thank you. So on our community outreach, I'd like to share a proud partnership that we have with the Boys and Girls Club of America. We've had this wonderful partnership for several years now, and we have supported the BGCA through programmatic funding support. We've provided various national campaigns, Caesars Gives Change, and we also continue to support a lot of the local and individual clubs throughout the Caesars Entertainment Network. And an interesting fact with this is that there is at least one Boys and Girls Club within 10 miles of 90% of our properties in our network. So this gives us a really unique opportunity for our local team members to participate and support those clubs and the youth through various different volunteering and sometimes financial support. And for our call today, what I'd like to highlight is the support that we are providing the BGCA this year. And so I kind of crammed a lot into the screen here, but our funding for them this year has provided three fundamental support pieces. One of those is in their safety and trauma-informed practice. So they have implemented a rigorous safety policy and trauma impact program that ensures the emotional and mental well-being for all their youth served. And so to date, 721 or 71% of their clubs have engaged in trauma-informed improvements, and this is measured by the trauma-informed diagnostic. Additionally, we have helped support their scaling impact of technology. So a lot, what they have improved and added was their My Future web platform and the My Club Hub to deliver high quality programs and track their outcomes, ultimately scaling the impact beyond just the club walls themselves. And then uniquely, our support is help them with research, evaluation, and advocacy, enable them to conduct research and evaluate their program effectiveness to support the success of their young people on a local, state, and federal level. So that is the highlight of our community impact of our national partner. Any questions?
Greg, just a quick question.
Yes.
The club, does that include any clubs here in Massachusetts? I'm assuming so.
Yes. Yep. It's their full network.
Yes, understood.
Yep.
Can you say how many?
Oh, I don't have that right offhand. I can get that to you.
But it's the funding itself that's dispersed across there. Thank
Yes,
you.
correct. For their full network of clubs. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. With that, if there isn't anything further, that concludes our presentation. And as always, feel free to reach out to us if you guys have any additional questions.
Thank you, Curtis.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, before we let Caesars go, I have one request. I think it should be directed to Greg, and it's really a follow-up from the meeting last quarter. You guys had just wrapped up your diversity playbook and your diversity 101 document and indicated you would be sharing it with the commission. You might have already done that to our sports wagering team. But if you have not, I would ask that you get those documents over. I'm interested in seeing them. I'm sure my fellow commissioners may also be interested in seeing them. And as I said last quarter, you offered to send one of you, I can't remember which, offered to send them over. So just looking to circle back to that.
I believe we have, but let me double check on that and we'll be sure that we do.
Yep, we certainly do. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Skinner, and Crystal and team. When that comes over, can you please flag it for us and let this be a demonstration that we often go back and watch the last quarter's meetings before we go into this quarter's meetings, and none so more diligent than Commissioner Skinner. So thank you, Commissioner Skinner, on that. So thank you to Caesars. I'm going to kick it back to Crystal.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll make sure to get you those documents when we see them, and anything else you ask for from this meeting. But next we have DraftKings. I believe I see Jake. So Jake, all yours.
Thanks, Crystal. Good morning, commissioners. With me today, I have Christina Akis, who's a VP of HR, Jared Hess, Director of Communications, and Julie Hines, Senior Manager of Responsible Gaming, to support with the presentation. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So beginning with revenue, in Q1 2024, DraftKings generated $91,855,541 in revenue, which resulted in $17,931,533 in tax collected by Massachusetts for the state at a hold of 10.2%. I'll pass to Christina to talk about workforce diversity.
Good morning. So really seeing some progress in our workforce diversity. Year over year, we increased our global female representation from 26 to 27%. If you guys remember, we actually have a global goal of 35%. So making some slow but headway in that direction. And then for a non-white representation in the US, that's where we saw some of our greatest growth, from 21% to 35%. And we have a 2025 goal of 40% there. Really, a lot of huge kudos goes to our TA team. Starting from last year, we integrated a lot of inclusive hiring practices. We're very intentional in regards to defining our goals and putting in processes to ensure that we are making traction to reach those goals. Very specifically, we've had some great partnerships with women-based industry organizations. We expanded programming with HBCUs, their campuses, their student organizations, and really have just been, like I said, intentional in our diversity recruitment efforts. 2024, we hope to see even greater growth. Beginning of this year, we redesigned our BRGs, just really focusing on greater governance, greater structure, and greater accountability. We've actually assigned executive sponsors to each BRG, so they've been extremely active. And again, the reason why we call them BRGs and not ERGs, so our business resource groups, are really because they do tie into our business goals. And with diversity being one of those, we really look forward to developing even greater plans through our BRGs in order to recruit more women, as well as non-white employees. We're actually also anticipating launching our Veterans BRG later this year, so hopefully we'll continue to see growth in those recruitment efforts as well. Next slide.
So Christina, before you move on, so you guys are one of the few that actually has an employee presence in the Commonwealth. Could you give us your breakdown and goals for the Massachusetts employees?
Yep. So on the next slide, actually, we have our breakdown for Massachusetts. So we don't have specific state goals. That can be something that we definitely work out, though. That's not a problem. Because the majority of our headcount is in Massachusetts, we do see, and actually you'll see here, and that's the all the way on the right columns, you'll see a majority, especially of our women representation in both senior leaders and total, our highest there. So really proud of that. Still looking to work on that non-white senior leadership bucket, specifically within Massachusetts. But I do say that both our US kind of more wider TA opportunities have been able to increase that non-white senior leadership representation. So continuing to have, remote employees, continuing to expand in our New Jersey, New York, and Vegas offices really do allow us to increase our non-white headcount. So we continue to ensure that, those remote opportunities exist, or kind of non-headquarters opportunities exist.
And do you count the remote as your international number or as your mass number?
So international, sorry, when I talk about national, I just meant the US, so that US bucket. Globally, we can't measure race, ethnicity. We can, but it's not measured. So sorry, but we do have gender, so for our global. Sorry, Commissioner O'Brien.
Okay. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yep. And also I want to make sure I reiterate here, we had, senior leadership goals for women at 25%. As you can see within the US, we have hit that goal. So we are very, very happy with the efforts we've made. I think that was both from a recruitment standpoint, but also from just internal programs for professional development. And we are actually doubling down on a lot of those efforts in regards to more formalized succession planning, identifying unique leadership roles within the organization just based off how we're structured. And also mentorship program that we'll be piloting this year and launching globally next year. So really, while we've hit that goal in the US for senior leaders, for women, we want to exceed it, right? It doesn't stop here. We want to continue to see that grow. And then for non-white, we had a goal of 20% senior leaders, and currently we are at 15%. So going to continue to double down there as well and identify, again, continued efforts within our Shades BRG to develop employees, but also continuing from a recruitment standpoint to be even more intentional. Next slide.
Christina, before you move off of that slide, can I ask that you incorporate those goals in the slide for future presentation?
I want to make sure you guys have me here to say them. No, absolutely. I'll have it written in. Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Okay, and next we'll talk about, our supplier diversity. Sorry, Commissioner Maynard. Yep.
No, I was going to say, this is actually a good time to say, when you go back all the way to our work during licensing, right, in our initial application, this commission's been very clear about goals and goal setting and measuring goals. And so for you guys, but also across the board to the operators, having those are really helpful. And we're now a year and a half in. So
Absolutely. I'll make sure they are written in here. But very happy that we have been able to reach some of those goals and continue to make progress. Supplier diversity efforts, I will include the goal here as well, but we have a stated goal of 5% of our spending nationally to go towards diverse suppliers. This year, we are really, really intentional about how we want to reach those goals. So we have some internal programming to help drive awareness as well as accountability for supplier diversity. We have supplier diversity efforts integrated into all of our monthly in-office social hours. So that really does lean into a lot of our food and beverage spend. We just created a supplier diversity directory, which again, developed by our BRGs, which help us achieve our business goals overall. So we've actually have on one of our internal huddles the ability for our employees to go in and find diverse suppliers that they may need. We have SLT, so our senior leadership comms, to help drive usage of diverse suppliers based off of annual spending trends. So really trying to identify where our functions are spending the most money and then identifying opportunities to introduce more diverse suppliers into those processes from a procurement standpoint. And then the fourth effort is a supplier diversity committee with executive sponsorship currently in development. So really excited to have this committee up and running within Q3 so that we really can drive greater accountability. Sometimes, as anyone knows, any efforts when it comes to all things diversity, equity, and inclusion is hard when it's siloed into one team. So really trying to ensure that teams and leaders across the entire organization are committed to these goals and are held accountable for helping us all reach and achieve these goals. Next slide. As you can see, by 2023 year end, we allocated 0.6 of our U.S. vendor spend towards diverse suppliers, which was short of our 5% national goal. I want to reiterate that 5% national goal is for year end 2025, but I still think we have some progress that needs to be made there. So hopefully that greater awareness and accountability will help us reach that. But as of Q1 for this year, we have 1.27% spend across diverse suppliers. And locally within Massachusetts, we had 10% year-end spend towards diverse suppliers and are tracking Q1 2024 spending at 15%. So do think we need to make a little bit more effort on the women owned businesses as well. So hopefully we'll be able to, even as we talk about goals, we want to be specific in those goals as well of, what type of vendors we're utilizing and incorporating those goals moving forward. So we'll definitely look to incorporate that during our next presentation.
thank you.
Next slide. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. Moving to compliance. So underage access report for Q1, we reported 7 instances in January, 7 in February, and 1 in March of alleged underage access. And then if no questions.
Jake, before you move on, to the extent that you can say publicly how you identified those people?
So this slide doesn't go down into that level of detail, but you do receive that level of detail in the reports that we send to the commission. So this includes anything from a family member merely says that their young child used the sports wagering account to something that might have more evidence to support the assertion. So for example, payment methods or other corroborating evidence that someone else has used the account But yeah, I'm not sure of these this exact breakdown, which is which. But the commission staff should have those numbers if you would like to dig into it a bit more.
Do you happen to know if there was one method more than others that's useful in identifying them?
No, not off the top of my
No.
head, but we do, yeah, we do supply a lot of detail behind the scenes on this. So it's certainly something you could extract from the data that we have, or that we could summarize for you.
Yeah, so next time you come in, if you might be able to say sort of which one is most effective in identifying the underage, that would be helpful.
Yes, okay.
Just in the conversations. I'm not asking you to put it in the PowerPoint, but maybe just in the conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely understood.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. I think it raises a good point, which is we're looking to combat this issue. And I know DraftKings and other operators are working with the AG's office, the NCAA, the Gaming Commission, and there's a public meeting coming up sometime in the fall. But we're looking to crack down on this, Jake. So you guys could help us do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's certainly an area where we've been invested a lot, and I think have a good degree of reporting of the type of controls that we have. So I think it's an area where we are certainly ready to contribute. Moving to responsible gaming, I'll pass it over to Julie Hines.
Thanks, Jake. Good morning, commissioners. In the month, in quarter one, we had 112 self-exclusions reported through the VSE application process. Next slide, please. In terms of account limits, we continue to see deposit limits as being the greatest tool uptake. We are engaged in efforts to increase that. Obviously, we do want to see the increase over time of these deposit limits, time limits, spend wager limits, and over all of the tool utilization uptake increase. We are engaged with efforts with that now, and we will report that in our Q2 report as well. Next slide. We're really proud to have launched a new initiative and a new tool on DraftKings called My Stat Sheet. This is a very transparent, easy to see tool for our players to be able to see how much time they've spent on site, how much money that they have won or lost, and be able to engage across verticals for those jurisdictions in which we have different types of verticals, such as our Pick Six products, DFS, casino, and on sportsbook. And we've heard a lot of really positive feedback from this because it is so transparent from our players to make informed choices about their gaming behavior. We do want to encourage and we do want to expand this as well, this tool in the future, so people can even get more of a drill down in terms of their gaming behavior. We additionally launched in February some in-app messages to players, as you can see here on the right, some soft behavioral nudges with regard to their gameplay. So in this aspect, it would be like a time on site trigger that would alert someone. It might be time for a timeout, a nice soft nudge intervention with the player to be able to then again make more informed choices about their behaviors. They could the call to actions to their limits pages as well. And finally, we do have RG banners on our main promotions carousel that encourages players to stay safe and set a budget. And again, the call to action is to our limit setting tools. On the next slide, we do have a video, and I'm not sure if we're able to show that, but it is a demonstration of our My Stat Sheet tool. So if we can show it, it'd be awesome.
If it has audio, if you share it with audio, that will help.
One second, I will try and do this.
Thanks, Jake. And while you're looking that up, as you can see here, the demonstration around the person's time on site, they can look at their month, they can look at lifetime data, yearly data, and then their net totals you can see here on the left by vertical. So in the interest of time, that's all right, Jake. We can let the commissioners take a look at that another time.
I think I've got it. If you'd like to still play it.
Sure.
Up to you. Can you see the advertisement on screen?
No, we're just seeing the PowerPoint.
That's when you share screen, Jake, there's a separate option amongst all of the little cubes that says share with audio. And I was going to say, so you probably have to switch your PowerPoint. Like there's a little box on the bottom, says share sound. and optimize
think-
for video clip. If you have both of those, it should work. That might.
We're all about giving our players new and exciting ways to get in on the action. With My Stat Sheet, you can check out your play history and performance over time to make sure you're always playing within your means. Because when it comes to betting, it's more fun when it's for fun. The crown is yours.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Sorry, I'll go back to the presentation now.
So that is my stat sheet. Next slide, please. In the month of March, we had Problem Gambling Awareness Month, which all the commissioners are well aware, and we were really proud to engage in a lot of efforts this year. One is raising awareness via our dksacredplay.com. It is a public-facing site for information and facts on responsible gaming overall, and we really highlighted a lot of efforts for PGAM this year. One of those areas too was a feature of the Gambling Disorder Screening Day, which was on March 12th. As you may know, that was put on by the Cambridge Health Alliance Division on Addiction, and we are engaged with them every year to help promote Gambling Disorder Screening Day. We also raise awareness with all of our retail access partners with a QR code to DK Safer to better inform people about PGAM efforts as well. We had a free-to-play pool on platform with over 51,000 entrants. So that is a free-to-play pool only for players who are on site, and they can engage with just anything that we want them to with regard to responsible gaming. We have a quarterly efforts on this, and for PGAM, we had a responsible gaming quiz for our players so they can engage with that, and quiz questions focused around RG practices. We have media efforts across the board, various topics, including our new RG tooling, our stat sheet. We have now a new responsible gaming center that is a very engaging way for people to look at our tools. Expanded partnership with Cambridge Behavioral Health is another operator mentioned earlier, and then public education about underage gambling as well. We also had a dedicated CRM sends to 2.5 million of our players that month. We do CRM sends anyway, but we did extra sends this last month in March, and then links across our platform pages for players with the PGAM ribbon. So next slide just shows the asset with the CRM send. We also have a new tone of voice we've worked really hard with our creative and marketing groups to really create a more of a friendly tone of voice with our players to encourage them and not necessarily hit them over the head, but we want to encourage them in a friendly fashion to engage with our tools, take breaks, and even self-exclude when they need to. So with that being said, that concludes my portion.
Thanks, Julie. Moving quickly to lottery, we do not have new updates in terms of engagement with the lottery for Q1.
Jake, before you move on to community outreach, this is Commissioner O'Brien. Did you, is it in the works, or are you just, have you not had follow-up communications with them?
Well, I mean, as we reported in the previous quarter, we are in the process, which I believe is recently closed, of major acquisition of Jackpocket, and this may well, I guess, lead to a lot more work that impacts the lottery, but it's not at a stage right now where I have more to share. But certainly that is an avenue that potentially has a significant impact with the lottery.
Right. So aside from that, had you had conversations, or is it the Jackpocket?
Aside from that, not further conversations with the lottery that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
I'll pass it to Jared Hess.
Thanks, Jake. Good morning, commissioners. Great to see you again. Excited to share some of our community-based charitable efforts for Q1. So with March being International Women's Day and also Women's History Month, we engaged employees across 11 of our global offices to give back to the communities where they work and where they live, to assemble care packages for women in their community. We partnered with a local charitable organization in each of our locations to package care packages for women facing homelessness, survivors of domestic violence and other issues. In Massachusetts, our employees got together and assembled 1,000 care packages in coordination with the United Way of Massachusetts Bay. Those packages were then distributed to several local charities, including Women's Lunch Place, Rosie's Place, and Project Hope. So great initiatives to support women in our communities. Excellent. Thank you. Yes, and then during the Super Bowl, so DraftKings was the headline sponsor of A Day in the Life, which is put on by Dr. Jen Welter. As you may know, Dr. Welter is the first female NFL coach, and she puts on events to support women and women empowerment, getting them involved in the game of football. So it was a great event. It gave women an opportunity to come together and learn all of the fundamentals of football and gain all of the benefits that come with learning and competing. It's basically a day in the life of an NFL player going through training camp. So we were proud to support this event again this year. Next. And then in Q1, we continued our DraftKings Tech for Heroes initiative. So through this initiative, we train veterans in high demand tech skills with the goal of getting them into the tech community upon leaving service. We also offer this to military spouses as well. We've had an additional 75 veterans graduate through the program this year. We've had several classes already and have several more underway and ongoing. During the graduation process, our TA team meets and gives an overview of DraftKings, and then we have a form for all the veterans to fill out where they can actually meet with a recruitment specialist at DraftKings to talk about their career, get more information about applying at DraftKings, and then also get help with resume building and interview skills and things like that. So since 2018, we've donated over $2.5 million to this program and have trained over 800 veterans at this point.
Thanks, Jared. Yeah, I'll just leave it open for questions, but that concludes the presentation.
Thank you. Can you pull down the presentation so we can all see each other? Commissioner, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Jake and team? Specific? All right. Well, we thank DraftKings for their time and their attention to this quarterly update. Look forward to seeing the progress in the next one. Crystal, we'll kick it over to you. I believe we're moving on to FanDuel.
That's correct. And I see Rich and Kata, and I will just hand it over. Once again, if you have any trouble, let me know.
Thanks very much. Good morning, commissioners, members of the staff. Thanks to the commission for inviting FanDuel to present its quarterly report for the first quarter of 2024. Let me first introduce my colleagues who are on the call with me, and then we can go through the presentation. So joining us today from FanDuel, we have Keita Young, the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Ashley Cahill, our Director of Responsible Gaming and Community Impact, and I'm Rich Cooper, our Vice President of Regulatory. It's nice to see the commission again, and we appreciate the opportunity to present here today. With that, I will share my screen. All right. Can the commission see the presentation?
We can, but it's not in view mode. It's in.
All right. Apologies for that. Let me.
A slideshow, rather. You think after 25 years of dealing with this, I remember that it's called a slideshow.
I will try to take two now. There we go. Is that coming through in slideshow mode now?
No. No, I think if you hit slideshow there and hit play, I think it will come through.
There we go. It's showing up on my end. Is it coming through to the commission as well?
There must be a lag because I saw you hit the button, but I'm not seeing it on the screen.
Rich, are you working from two screens? It could be that when you hit the slideshow, it's going on another screen.
Yeah, just one screen on my end, but let me try.
We
Well,
are seeing it. We're just seeing it in the PowerPoint mode, which is fine, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
smaller.
fine. It's fine.
Alright,
Just
well,
eyes purposes of bad eyes.
Just a little bit smaller. Yeah, there we go.
in the
little bit
interest of time and with apologies for the tech, should we go ahead with this?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, all right. So I'd like to start with the revenue report for the first quarter. As you can see on the slide and as previously filed with the commission, in the first quarter of 2024, FanDuel generated sports wagering revenue of $54,351,000, leading to taxes collected in the Commonwealth of $10,870,000, a total hold percentage for the quarter of 10.25%. With respect to the minor and underage report, in the first quarter of 2024, FanDuel reported one instance of a minor or underage player found wagering or attempting to wager on the platform. Our next section is our DE&I section. Before switching to that, any questions from the commission?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Hill.
I know Commissioner O'Brien asked this in earlier conversations with another operator, but can you give us an overview of what the one underage person, how you were able to identify that person?
Yes, we did file a detailed report with the commission on that instance. My hesitation in discussing it in open session is it does involve some of our fraud detection tooling.
Understood.
And so I would prefer not to speak about it in open session, but we did file a report with the salient facts with the commission staff.
I will check in with them then. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
actually, following up on that, Mr. Chair, it might be something we want to think about getting a briefing by our team in executive session, the same way IB might be if they're talking about investigative techniques or ongoing investigations. To ask legal whether we can do that going forward so that we can get the answers to the trends on this.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and maybe just to check in general before we go into an executive session on where we are and where we're wanting to go with this. That's what I'm picking up. Commissioner O'Brien complaint, and Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Skinner too.
Thank you, commissioners. With that, I'll turn it over to Keita Young for the next portion of our presentation.
Good morning, Keita Young, Head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Pleased to be here again to update you all on FanDuel's DE&I journey. There's been a lot of great work, investment, and progress that still continues here at FanDuel. So as you know, we have 4 focus areas: diverse sourcing and hiring, talent and development, community and culture, and employee engagement and communication. Like I said, there's been a lot of great progress that continues to make our company better, more inclusive, more all-encompassing for all of our employees. Our efforts are intentional with full support of the company and the leadership. So within these areas today, I like to highlight and showcase some of our progress on our 2024 initiatives. So under diverse sourcing and hiring, here our focus is on representation and working to improve our diverse representation numbers. I'm continuing to partner with our talent acquisition team, and some of our efforts include: 1, developing a formal guideline around our diverse slates process for our key senior roles. This process involves diversifying the pool of applicants, bringing forth those candidates with different backgrounds, experiences, races, and gender classifications in an effort to diversify the workforce. I say this all the time, and I think I said this last time I was here, you can't hire who you don't see. And our efforts in this space have been moving forward, and we're developing guidelines that guide the process around hiring and sourcing of our candidates. I'm also proud to share we have a new partnership with Global Gaming Women to expose our female colleagues to other women in this very specific industry. We've been able to send several of our colleagues to leadership conferences and hosted an event here in our office specifically for members of this organization. Something I'd like to share that actually is not on the slide. I'd like to talk to you guys about our summer associate program, which just started last Friday. And I had a chance to actually speak to all of our new incoming summer associates. I walked into a room and saw 23 bright, energetic, aspiring college juniors. And I immediately noticed the range of diversity. 54% of the class is diverse, and even more is a testament to our commitment to diversifying the junior levels of our organization and building a pipeline of diverse talent. Now on to talent and development. We continue to leverage our partnership with McKinsey & Company. I think earlier this year, I spoke about our partnership with McKinsey for the Black Leadership Academy. Well, we just ended in May, the Asian Leadership Academy. And on June 10th, we're launching the Hispanic Leadership Academy. So when we finish with the Hispanic Leadership Academy, we will have over 120 members of our community that have participated in a 3-month leadership development program with over 30 hours of leadership development, training, and learnings. Also, not on this page that I didn't include was our second women's leadership development program cohort. So over the last 6 months, we've had 48 women across our New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Edinburgh offices commit time to their professional development by receiving mentorship from business leaders and focusing on areas such as executive presence, delivering and receiving feedback, effective communication techniques, and efficient presentation skills. This is one of our signature programs. It's been so impactful for so many women and continues to show our commitment to gender equity. And we continue to invest in our ERGs, and we've had the opportunity to provide leadership and developmental coaching and leadership teams for the leadership teams to equip them with the skill set to be better leaders and create more impactful groups. Lastly, I want to talk about community and culture and employee engagement. So I think when I spoke to you before, I said that we're committed to a year-long of cultural moments, celebrations, activations to bring awareness to the diversity of our community through our 7 ERGs. I've included a couple slides, which I'm not going to go over, but you can review that showcase some of the efforts that have happened in the first quarter by 3 of our ERGs. And that's our BOLD, our Black Employee Resource Group. WIN is our Employee Research Group for women. And then FAME is our FanDuel Amazing Minorities and Ethnicities, which is our UK ERG. You can see we got a lot going on, and we're really, really proud of all the efforts that are happening here at FanDuel. One of the areas that we're committed to leaning into that we haven't done a lot in, but we're really committed to doing and starting is in the disability space. And last month we had a guest speaker, a gentleman named Aaron Golub, come join us as we celebrated Global Accessibility Awareness Day. We had a company-wide keynote address by Aaron, who's a legally blind former NFL free agent and Division I football player from Tulane University. And during his keynote, we were able to get a glimpse of his unique journey. And even though he was legally blind, he was able to pursue his passion while having appreciation for his disability. He even facilitated in the office a live activity allowing FanDuelers to simulate the experience of throwing and catching a football with an impaired vision. It was really, really impactful and something that our employees really appreciated to gain that greater awareness. The last initiative I'd like to call out on this page is our recently launched self-ID campaign. This is a baby of mine and finally has come to fruition. Our slogan is, "We want to know you, be counted." We're super excited about this campaign to have a greater awareness of our employee demographics. We've expanded the racial and ethnic categories that are available. We're allowing employees now to identify as members of LGBTQIA+ community, and we also have an area for veterans and military status for those to self-ID. We realize the benefits of having this information will really help us in developing, aligning, and executing our goals around DE&I and provide an even more inclusive environment for all of our employees. We understand that knowing the breadth of our employee population will allow us to provide robust content, training, and programming really across the company. And ultimately, our company's efforts around developing all personnel will drive FanDuel's ability to innovate and grow within our industry. So that's a little bit about what we're doing in the DE&I space that's happened for the first quarter. I'd now like to take our attention to the page which talks about our current workforce numbers. So in comparison to the last reporting that we gave to you, we are pretty much consistent in the same areas, with 38% of our population identifying as underrepresented individuals or minorities. Women were still the same, roughly around 30.5%. And we don't have the information around veterans, but like I just said, with our self-ID campaign, we're really excited. And I'm sure next time I'll have more information for you with respect to our veterans population. And when we look at the workforce diversity with the Massachusetts residents, that's around 0.6. And our total number of employees is around 3,479. With respect to supplier diversity, you know that.
I'm sorry, Akil,
no.
Before you move on, and you may have said this and I missed it, but do you have goals in terms of workforce diversity?
So our parent organization, Flutter, has imposed on all of their divisions a 40% female leadership goal. And that's in our women, 40% of our leadership positions will be occupied by a woman by 2026. So we have goals in the gender space. With the self-ID campaign that we just launched, we're going to get those numbers and then talk about what our goals are going to be in the racial and ethnicity space. But currently right now, we don't have articulated public goals around that.
Okay. All right. And do you have initiatives to try to internally get that female number up?
Yes. So our women's leadership development program, which I talked about, that we're in the second cohort of that. And then also with our diverse slates, we're definitely using that to track our, and which I don't know if I've told you guys before, quarterly, I am giving metrics reports to our ELT by division, by area, by level. So there's clear visibility into where our numbers are in the space. So it's granular information. So each of our division leaders can understand where they're going towards, moving towards, and what the baseline is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So supplier diversity, I think when I first started here, I don't think we had any insight, visibility at all into our supplier diversity numbers. And I'm so happy to say that we committed a year ago to developing and executing on a plan which involved identifying, engaging minority-owned, women-owned, and veteran-owned businesses in support of our external diversity efforts. We outlined a comprehensive plan, which I've included in here with phases, and I have a pleased to announce, we have contracted with a vendor to assist in our efforts. So I think last time when I came to this group, I told you that we had selected a supplier to help us with our internal effort, which has now been completed, and we have a great understanding and visibility into our diverse spend. We didn't have that before. We have identified and determined which vendors in our system now qualified as minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. And we can announce today that approximately about almost $17 million of our spend has gone to diverse suppliers, and the Massachusetts spend is a roughly $37,000. Didn't have any of that information before. Our partner assisted us with getting all of that. Our program now is at the go live phase of the portion of our program, but it's nice to see that our diversity efforts externally are growing in the supplier diversity space. And certainly, we're just in the beginning of the runway here, and I'm sure the more I come to talk to you, we'll have more information as to our efforts in the supplier diversity space. So thank you for your time. As always, it's such a pleasure coming to talk to you all today. If you have any more questions, I'm willing to take it. If not, I can turn it over to my colleague who's going to talk about responsible gaming.
Thank you, Keita. Any questions? All right, we can move forward.
Fantastic. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for the time today. As Rich mentioned, I'm Ashley Cahill. I'm a Director of Responsible Gaming and Community Impact at FanDuel, and I'll be sharing a few updates in that space while Jill Watkins, who normally presents on this area, is on a well-deserved leave this week. So kicking off with a snapshot of our tool usage numbers in Massachusetts. Compared to last quarter's reporting, there's a small increase in the utilization of deposit limits. In general, when it comes to our strategy to promote engagement around tools, we continue to promote our player activity statement tool on a monthly basis to encourage players to really be aware of their level of spend and their play overall. In our next meeting, we'll have more to share and some hopefully exciting updates around what our tool roadmap looks for the year, including some more kind of innovative offerings that are more engaging experience-wise for players. So some more to come there in the next update. We can move to self-exclusion. In Q1, we had 60 individuals in Massachusetts participate. 0.2% of registered Massachusetts accounts elected to take a timeout. The average length of timeout is 83 days. And within the FanDuel product, we continue to direct customers to the GameSense website to learn more about the program. We can go to the next slide, please. So before jumping in to share updates on our more kind of general community impact partnerships and programs, I'd be remiss, I think, in not sharing just a brief recap of what our problem gambling awareness month activities looked like in March. Apologies for not having the detail on the slide here. But in general, these had both an internal and external focus at FanDuel. Internally, during Problem Gambling Awareness Month, we held a series of lived experience sessions for employees in partnership with Epic Global Solutions, who I believe you've heard about from a couple other operators on the call today. We also rolled out a refreshed mandatory all-employee RG training module with 100% participation by end of month. And we promoted an internal employee recognition program we call RG Champions, where FanDuel employees are encouraged to recognize their peers for outstanding RG work. We then amplify that internally and provide some nice rewards and incentives based on that. Externally, we promoted awareness of problem gambling through posts on FanDuel's social media channels with our ambassadors, and also amplifying Gambling Disorder Screening Day with the Cambridge Health Alliance Division on Addiction. We also announced continued support of the National Council on Problem Gambling and the International Center for Responsible Gambling with two $150,000 donations to support the important work of these organizations. And lastly, in March, FanDuel announced a new partnership with Kindbridge Behavioral Health, who I believe you've also had a chance to hear about earlier today, and DraftKings and BetMGM have partnerships with KindBridge. We kicked off that partnership with a pilot in New Jersey and Ohio, where we're subsidizing problem gambling support services like mental health assessments, peer group support services, and other resources for those who exclude. And we will be expanding that partnership to include Massachusetts and other markets that we are live in starting next month. And as I believe Alana from BetMGM mentioned earlier in the call today, these partnerships do include a measurement component. We're working with KindBridge to track ongoing utilization of the support services to understand impact, and are very happy to share ongoing updates on what utilization of earnings look like. You can actually go back, Rich, apologies. Then kind of moving outside of Problem Gambling Awareness Month, just wanted to share a bit of a snapshot on what the kind of community impact initiatives have looked like at FanDuel. Had a lot of work on this front this year to really build out these programs. At FanDuel, we grant employees 2 days of paid time leave to support volunteerism throughout the year, and really raised awareness of this during National Volunteer Week. Also rolled out a new tool to help employees identify opportunities to volunteer both remotely and in their local communities, a tool called On Hand. We also promoted a skills-based volunteering program that FanDuel has the opportunity to participate in as part of our partnership with Operation Hope. So this allows FanDuel employees to basically do kind of a skills-based volunteering consulting, really kind of donating their skills to small business owners through Operation Hope's 1 Million Black Businesses initiative. Go to the next slide, please, Rich. And then just wanted to share a brief update on our Operation Hope partnership in Massachusetts. Just as a reminder, this is a partnership that we announced in January. FanDuel made a $1 million donation to Operation Hope, the nation's leading nonprofit dedicated to financial literacy, to bring their free Hope Inside financial literacy coaching program to Massachusetts. So this provides Massachusetts residents with access to 3 coaches throughout the state to benefit from financial health sessions and ongoing coaching at no cost. And this is a program that we've been excited to get off the ground. We have actually engaged now with Marlene Warner, the Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health, to equip GameSense advisors to promote this program as well. So we're not only kind of promoting it at large, to all Massachusetts residents, but also making sure that individuals struggling with problem gambling and any financial issues tied to that also are very aware of this program and able to participate. So in terms of the impact data coming out of this program, we'll have some initial numbers to share in the next meeting. That'll look like the number of individuals participating in the program and the average FICO score increase, based on that participation. And as we continue to expand this program, we're really looking to bring in more partners to help us promote it. And I know this is a bit outside Q1, but in April, which was Financial Literacy Month, we did work with the Bruins to amplify the program, both at home games, setting up tabling opportunities for the Operation Hope coaches to come in and talk to fans about financial literacy and raise awareness of the program, and are excited to continue raising awareness throughout the state. With there, would love to pause for any questions or feedback.
Questions, commissioners?
I have a bit of feedback, Mr. Chairman. So first, thank you for the presentation. My first, I guess, comment goes to Ashley. Really good stuff in this Operation Hope initiative. And so I am looking forward to getting some additional information. I think it can be really impactful. So kudos to you on that. And then also, thank you for anticipating my request for additional data on the KindBridge partnership. You said that you launched a pilot in New Jersey, and which other jurisdiction I didn't catch?
Ohio.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
And then to Kita, I think I think I'm probably your biggest cheerleader. I always commend you on your presentation to us, and I don't see a reason to stop. Thank you for acknowledging that there is some work to do relative to getting those diversity numbers up and agreeing to provide those goals in future slides.
Yes.
The supplier diversity project plan, it's great that that is launching soon, or it's in progress. And so also looking forward to hearing back on you on your efforts there. I think my question though is, are you I know you've have a vendor who is signed on, but are you working with the Massachusetts Supplier Diversity Office or through that individual? If not, just something to consider, because I know that you're also working on your Massachusetts numbers.
Yes.
So that might be a good way to identify qualified vendors in that regard.
Thank you very much for that suggestion, because we have not done that, but that's something that we will certainly do. And a lot of this efforts actually, Commissioner Skinner, is coming out of our procurement office now. We actually have somebody dedicated to this who's so I will definitely pass that information on as an avenue to get our numbers up in Massachusetts.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Any other comments? I agree. Ms. Young is always positive.
Thank you. Listen, I love coming to this. I was on vacation and I was supposed to fly back today, and I came back earlier just so I could be here today to see all of you. I mean, I was coming back anyway, but I made sure that I was here in enough time to be able to do this presentation because I certainly enjoy it. It's one of my highlights.
FanDuel, you got to give her time back on that.
You hear that, Rich? Hear that, Rich?
We'll pass that along. Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate FanDuel and the update. And commissioners, do we need a break or do we want to keep moving? Keep moving. I'm being told to
keep moving, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Crystal, that's your cue.
All right, thank you. We have 2 operators remaining to present, and next we'll have Penn Sports Interactive. I believe I saw Adam.
Yep, I'm here. Hi, Crystal.
There's Adam. I know there are a lot of boxes today. Jordan's right. I saw Adam, and PSI is our ESPN Bet app for. Take it on, Adam.
All right, thanks, Crystal. Hello, commissioners. It's great to see you all and be here today. A lot of pressure to keep this moving so that we don't regret not having a break. So let me share my screen and we'll get into it. Everybody can see okay? All right. Well, as we normally do historically, it's usually just me who provides these updates, but I have heard the feedback from the other operator presentations this morning. So I do think that it might be a good opportunity for the next quarter for me to bring some other individuals internally who could speak on some more specifics and provide some more context. Aside from the compliance slides in the deck today, as I'm not the subject matter experts, perhaps maybe as we go through it, the commission can just earmark some sections where they might want to hear a bit more details and more context from other individuals who might be able to speak in a bit more detail about these things. So for me, as I usually do, I'm just here to report the data and I'm happy to take away any feedback. But since there is no natural transition in between subject matter, if there are questions, just please feel free to interrupt me. Because you're just going to be hearing from me today. So moving on to the revenue. So we had just over $6.5 million in sports wagering revenue for the quarter, amounting into $1.3 million in taxes collected for the state of Massachusetts, which reflects our $110 million in handle for Q1. Onto the workforce diversity, not a lot of, there's not a dynamic shift in our numbers for this quarter. quarter over quarter, we have been increasing our headcount as we've been preparing for our ESPN rebrand, which took place last November. So these numbers are leveling off a bit. And as you can see here, here are our minority, women, veteran, and Massachusetts residents breakdown as it relates to our entire workforce. I think this is probably a good section as well for me to bring members from our HR and people and cultures team next time to provide a bit more details about our goals and how we're trending, because I have heard that feedback. So I do want to acknowledge that that is a takeaway for us for the next quarter's presentation.
Appreciate that, Adam.
No problem. Thank you. Similar to our vendor and supplier diversity spend. So while I am here to say that we have increased our spend quarter over quarter, as you can see, going all the way back to Q1 23, we have had increases in every quarter. This quarter, we did show an $827,000 total spend. The increase this quarter was an increase in our women's business enterprises. And again, we will provide some more details on where we stand and how we are trending towards our goals on this for the next quarter as well. Over to compliance, the underage activity that we reported for the quarter, there was one instance that we did report. We did chalk it up to an identification match. I'll give a bit more clarity here. As I've mentioned before in a couple other quarterly presentations, as well as some executive sessions, we have enhanced our KYC program quite a bit, where in order to register for an account as of July 23 onwards, we do require individuals to upload a piece of ID and a selfie. That doesn't mean that we have ID and selfie for all of our previous account holders since prior to July 23. So as you can see here, we did identify one where we did receive an identification from an individual who was underage, and we did report that to the MGC staff. It's not on here as a data point, but we have been working with the MGC staff over the last month or so to improve our underage activity reporting in general. And I can say that in Q1, we had 48 attempts of individuals trying to register for an account that were declined because their ID, selfie, or KYC information belonged to an underage individual. I know the commission has asked for those types of that data and that information in the past, so it is working. I can say that we did decline a number of individuals in the quarter, and as well, which is a positive on this slide, is the number of underage activity incidents, or not incidents, I should say, investigations that were conducted and reported has also been steadily decreasing, going back all the way to Q1 2023. I'll pause here because I can field questions on this slide, if there are any.
Questions, commissioners?
Okay.
No, the questions that I have, I think are going to have to be more executive session, because I'm curious to know, what are your parameters, right? Are they static? Is it sort of, what are the triggers so that we have a sense of whether it's truly declining or whether they're just not triggering the same way, and therefore the number appears to be declining.
And Commissioner O'Brien, I can say, with confidence that, based on the fact that we do require ID and selfie, and the number of attempts that we did decline at registration, I think it is pretty clear that it is a little bit more difficult for underage individuals to open accounts, maybe using their parents' credentials or family members. That control is something that we are quite proud of, and we do definitely see the benefits of that as well. But happy to speak to more details on the other element, which is our detection and investigations. Happy to talk about those in executive session or in another forum anytime.
Great, thank you.
Onto the responsible gaming section. We had 74 individuals add themselves to the voluntary self-exclusion list in the quarter, slightly down from our previous quarter. 4.1% of individuals in Massachusetts are utilizing at least one RG tool. And based on the bottom section here, you can see that the overwhelming popular choice is for individuals to put themselves on cool-offs for 6 months or longer. We have seen an uptick in the number of individuals who would like to go on shorter RG cool-off periods, ranging from 73 hours to a month. That number is up to now almost 30%. And we do also continue to work with Mark Long and Bonnie, discussing best practices and going into a bit more details on some of the trends that we are seeing in the RG space. So we do have a great relationship with the MGC staff, and we look forward to continuing those conversations with them as well. Moving on to the lottery, we do have a promotion that we have implemented with the lottery. This is the same as we've done in previous quarters, where we do reach out to our online customers and offer them a chance to come and redeem free Massachusetts lottery tickets at our PPC Plainridge property. To date, we've reached over 26,000 of our online gaming users, and in the quarter one, we had 393 lottery ticket redemptions at our property. So we are seeing some progress here. It is something that the lottery has been very excited about, and we continue to, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So we keep going back and we keep pushing this one promotion that we have, which we have seen some traction over this last quarter, and we're looking forward to continuing that trend going forward as well. Community outreach. During the quarter, Massachusetts-based members in our Massachusetts office collected donations for the Community Action Pioneer Valley, which is an emergency feeding program which is close to our offices in Greenfield. Over 400 pounds of non-perishable food items were donated. In addition to that, Penn Interactive also made a monetary donation to the Food Bank of Western Mass, which funded 1,500 meals. Also in Q1, Penn recognized and celebrated key events that promote diversity and inclusion with internal programming that was aimed at building awareness and fostering ongoing conversation and learning, which includes our participation in 2 panels. First was our Black History Month panel with speakers from our key partners at ESPN, as well as the Culture Equity. We also celebrated International Women's Day by hosting a panel with 3 of Penn Entertainment's female board members. And while this is technically cheating because it was released in April, so this is Q2, we will talk about this more on the next quarterly update. But since it did get published shortly after Q1 finished, we wanted to highlight Penn Entertainment's 2023 Corporate Social Responsibility Report. Some of the highlights that we wanted to mention here on this report were more than $8 million being donated to local charities annually in 2023. Over $750,000 of that was donated to veteran and military support nonprofit organizations. More than 9,500 hours were spent volunteering internally to help those in need. We implemented a new diverse vendor incubator program and exceeded our goals for diverse vendor procurement with a total spend of more than $108 million. We've launched the new Penn Women Employee Resource Group, and we've also increased our sustainability efforts by introducing our first Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions inventory review. So more to come on this for the next quarterly presentation, but again, since it did get released shortly after Q1 finished, we wanted to highlight it here. I'm also happy to provide the staff with a link to the full report if the commission would like to view that before our next presentation. And then we can get into some more specifics about how our Penn Entertainment, Penn Interactive efforts commingle and cross with each other, and how it all funnels up into this 2023 Corporate Sustainability Report, which we are very proud to share.
I'm sure we will all be happy to review it, Adam.
I'll get that over to you right away. No issues at all. And that brings me to the conclusion of the report. Happy to go back. I know it was brief. As I mentioned before, happy to bring more individuals from the team with me next week, or next quarter, to give some more information. But I'm happy to field any questions or any takeaways that the commission might have in the interim.
Commissioners, any questions for Adam, understanding that he is going to add a few team members to the next quarter? All right, I'm seeing none, Adam.
All right, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next quarter.
We appreciate that and the update. Crystal.
All right, we've reached the final stretch. We now have Fanatics, and I'm looking up. There he is. I see Mike. Fabulous. And so all yours, Mike. End it for us, please.
All right, let's see if I can share my screen. It would be standard practice where I can't. So I did preemptively send our report to Crystal.
You did.
So
you
Crystal,
did.
could you
Let me
please
see what I can do. Let's see here. It's in PowerPoint, but I think you guys should be able to see it. Give me 2 seconds.
It's in PDF as well.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant. I have it in PDF. Is it up?
Yep, we're seeing it.
Okay. Just make sure I can actually switch. I can. All right, great. Go ahead.
All right. Sorry about that, commissioners. Good morning, Interim Chair Maynard, Commissioners Hill, O'Brien, and Skinner, and MGC staff. My name is Mike Levine, Senior Regulatory Counsel here at FBG. Here before you today to present the Q1 2024 results in the Commonwealth. With me today are my all-star teammates, Human Resources Director Steph Althaus and Anthony D'Angelo, our Head of Responsible Gambling. Crystal, we can go to slide 4, which is our revenue. Okay. So our Q1 sports wagering revenue in the Commonwealth was $3,148,460.38, and our sports wagering taxes remitted to the Commonwealth in Q1 was $603,626.47. As always, these numbers are reflected in those that were previously submitted to the MGC and detailed in our revenue reports available on the MGC website. With that said, I'm going to pass it off to Steph, who will talk about our HR and diversity initiatives here at FBG.
Hi, good afternoon. Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. Yeah, so these are the Q1 metrics for FBG. While we did see a bit of a decrease in the minority category for soups and non-managers, we did see an increase in the women representation for both the manager and entry levels. Veteran remained steady. And then one of the Gleeman metrics here, quarter over quarter, is in our exec minority category. We did have one leaver at the end of last year and early this year. This metric, however, has increased back for our next meeting and next discussion within Q2. And then one thing to call out just around our metrics is that I think it was just last week, our head of tech TA, Laura Hyde, has now been appointed as overseeing both the tech and the non-tech, the business side of the house for all TA efforts and initiatives for FBG. And one of her newly appointed projects is just around increasing our DEI efforts for FBG specifically. So we have a kickoff call coming in the next week to start discussing some of those efforts here as a team. And then next slide, Crystal, if you could.
Stephanie, before you go to the next slide, I'm just going to reiterate sort of what's been the theme seemingly of the morning. If we would be interested in having someone speak to those goals and metrics specifically in a future presentation, hopefully next quarter.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. And then for our recently published was our 2023 Global Impact or ESG report. So I just wanted to capture some of that information here. Some of these metrics remain very similar year over year, but 48% of our employees and 23% of our directors and above identify as racially and or ethnically diverse. And then 49% of our employees and 32% of our directors and above identify as female. The next slide, please. So our core global impact pillar, 1-star, our all-star team, culture and talent, and just around the philosophy of IDEA and what it means to FBG and all of Fanatics is just representation across all different communities, making sure that people feel heard, seen, and understood. So that's around religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, veteran status, family status, et cetera, et cetera. More recently in 2023, late 2023, we took a deeper look into our IDEA program. And then just very recently in 2024, April 2024, we changed our acronym to ensure that we were, best capturing our efforts and a little bit more inclusivity. So we changed equality to equity and advocacy to allyships. And then below our fans or Fanatics Alliance networks. So essentially Family First, Global Black Alliance, Multicultural Pride, Women's Initiative, and Veterans. And 24% of our global workforce currently participates in our fan networks. Continuing some of the information from the ESG report is just around our Idea Summit and fans. So our annual Idea Summit is basically held from our Fanatics CPO, Orlando Ashford, and then we had some guest speakers and some members of our board this go around. And then our fans or Fanatics Alliance networks increased to 24% of our total population, which was initially around the 22 to 23% mark. And some of our 2023 fans events were recognizing Juneteenth, which is now recognized as a company holiday, Hispanic Heritage Month, Veterans Luncheon in support of our Canine Warriors, forums around the LGBTQIA+ community, and Transgender Awareness Month. And then some highlights for Q1 specifically was our Game Changers program. So this is a talent development program and culture consulting services that kicked off. We launched it in February of 2024, and it is going to be held for the next 6 months with a total of 150 participants across the company. And then we also celebrated Black History Month. So the GBA, or the Global Black Alliance team, held a panel discussion about the role of culture in sports, which was hosted by our SVP of Talent Management and DI, Taritha. We also had our CEO of Mitchell & Ness, Eli, and then some other representatives, which was basically hosted and held by a Special Guest Academy Award winning director, Spike Lee. We also had a GBL and NBA Black Trivia Night. And essentially what that is GBA is Global Black Alliance, and then the Black Engagement Network from NFL with Ben hosted the Black Trivia Night at Fanatics New York City headquarters office in celebration of Black History Month. And essentially it's just a bunch of colleagues and network that came together to socialize, compete in different rounds of trivia. And it was held and catered by Unique Eats Catering, which is a local Black-owned business. And then for Women's History Month, we had a couple of different things going on. So virtual yoga sessions, Win Talk with female Fanatics leaders, Women's Story Swap Conversation, and Women in Tech video series, which hosted various members of FBG Tech women as well. For the Women's Story Swap, it was one of these things where we would share in our WIN, or Women's Initiative, Slack channel, where employees were essentially encouraged to share stories of someone, whether past or present, who have really inspired them personally, whether they directly impacted their life or not, someone they looked up to or deserved some recognition. And then most of this information was placed onto our company intranet, our starting lineup for view across the company. I believe that's it for me. Any questions?
Questions, commissioners?
Great. Thanks, Steph. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, we'll quickly get into our diverse and Massachusetts specific spend. As it relates to the Commonwealth, in Q1, we had spend of $506,000. And then the total diversity spend in Q1 is reflected here on this slide as well. And it was $993,663. With that said, I am going to pass it off to Anthony D'Angelo, our head of responsible gambling, to speak about some of the initiatives here at FBG.
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon, Interim Commissioner Maynard, Commissioners O'Brien, Hill, and Skinner. As Mike had said, and the MGC staff. As Mike had said, I am Anthony D'Angelo. I head up Fanatics Betting and Gaming's responsible gaming program. So the first slide here is our underage report metrics. On the left-hand side, I guess the left-hand column, you'll see we had 23 folks that our system flagged during KYC process as being potentially underage. None of these folks were on our platform in sports wagering, but the KYC provider had flagged, and their accounts were suspended subsequently. We can go to the next slide, please, Crystal. Unless there's any questions, obviously, please feel free to jump whenever you guys need.
I don't want to steal Commissioner O'Brien's thunder, but I think we would loop this into the same we'll try to put together an executive session
Right.
and to try to get some more information.
Right, and particularly broken down KYC snags versus, they got in through KYC and then you had activity, right, that flagged them. So I think that could be very helpful going forward for us.
No problem. Definitely. So this slide is the VSE metrics. So within Q1, we had 23 folks on the Massachusetts VSE who are system identified and subsequently suspended. Promptly, as soon as they were identified, their accounts were suspended and closed. Go to the next slide, please. And now we have our RG tool usage metrics. So as of March 31st, we had about 56,000 active Massachusetts sports wagering accounts. Deposit limits continues to be the most used tool, at least on our platform, with about 3.1% of those folks. And spend limits being the second most, being 2.6 for an overall spend limit, as well as a max wager limit of being 1.5%. Time limits are kind of last in the hierarchy, and then cooldown periods and timeouts being a very small amount, about 60 folks on our platform, with the breakdowns on the right-hand side. If there are no questions on tools, before we jump to the next slide, I don't have a slide on RG initiatives. I should have added one, but I'm happy to talk through some of them that we had in Q1, especially considering PGAM was a big part of March. So in Q1 2024, we had some RG training initiatives that kicked off. We rolled out our all-employee RG training on March 1st, which is required to be completed by all FBG employees, whether they're customer facing or not. So everyone gets a baseline knowledge of responsible gaming. We also offer some enhanced learning opportunities for marketing, for customer-facing employees, as well as anybody really interested throughout the year. We like to bring in vendors and speakers to kind of make those sessions a little more interactive. We offered some lived experience training to our people team in Q1, as well as we also trained our C-suite with some lived experience as well. We rolled out our inaugural RG recognition program. We call them Vanguard champions. They're our responsible gaming champions, where we highlighted 5 RG champions across our lines of businesses. We interviewed each of those champions, and then we actually sent the interviews out globally to all of our employees. So employees within marketing, for example, can understand how RG impacts customer service and VIP and et cetera. We attended some conferences in Q1. We attended the PGNO Ohio's conference. This technically is in Q1, but since it happened a few weeks ago, we attended the Massachusetts conference, which was amazing. And then we have some exciting partnerships that I won't spoil because they're technically early Q2, but just one of the things that I'm excited to talk to you guys about is the incentivization of the usage of responsible gaming tools. I know that's a hot topic at several of the conferences that we've been a part of. And we feel Fanatics has a pretty unique opportunity in which we can leverage Fanatics ecosystem outside of gambling incentives to have people set or have users set RG tools, for example, giving them merchandise, et cetera. So we're doing that partnership on some research with the NCPG. Like I said, it's not a Q1 thing, but I wanted to just tease it because we will talk about it for next quarter. If there are no questions, then I think that's me.
Questions? Move forward.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. Commissioners, just to close it out, we have 2 slides remaining. This is the mass lottery slide. We continue discussions with the mass lottery, and we intend in the coming months to reinitiate discussions with Executive Director Bracken to understand, how we can support the mass lottery. The next slide, Crystal. And Commissioner Hill, I'm here to give you a few more updates on our partnership with the Fanatics partnership with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. In Q1, Fanatics, in collaboration with Make-A-Wish Foundation, wished 50 wishes to wish recipients, over 50 wishes, excuse me, to wish recipients, spanning anywhere from the NBA All-Star Game to the NHL All-Star Game to the Super Bowl, and then lastly, WrestleMania, along with many other smaller initiatives. Just to highlight some of the things that these wish recipients were able to do is, I'll take the WrestleMania, for example, is these recipients were able to get exclusive trading cards, which was themselves as depicted as a member of the WrestleMania. They were able to create their own walkout to the WrestleMania entrance. And then they received an exclusive shopping experience where they were able to outfit themselves with a custom-made belt and some other exclusive WrestleMania merchandise. So that was our community impact for Q1. We're here to answer any questions that you may have, and we really appreciate your time today.
Any questions for Fanatics? So we bring this. Thank you for doing that, Crystal. All right. Well, we appreciate that, Michael and team, and the Fanatics team for the update. Look forward to the next one. And I enjoyed that WrestleMania bit. I often out Commissioner Hill and I as wrestling fans. Some people know that, some people don't. But there you go. All right.
I do love hearing the wishes, though. That's great.
All right, commissioners. With that said, Director Band, Crystal, anything else for us today on the updates?
I don't believe we have anything additional, so that was the presentation for today.
All right. So we're going to move on to commissioner updates. Commissioners, do we have any updates? I actually have one. I want to note, and this is in the interest of full transparency, that FanDuel did reach out to me last Friday to set up a time to follow up on the roundtable that we conducted on limiting wagers last month. I know that we plan to take this issue up again soon. In fact, we have it marked up for a public meeting on June 20th to have a follow-up. So I will ensure that FanDuel and any other operator know that each commissioner will need to be updated in a way that is transparent and fully compliant with the open meeting law. That said, I wanted to acknowledge that reach out, and I'm hopeful for the future as our learning on this issue continues. Any, okay. Seeing no comments to that. Any other business for today? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
And I vote yes 4-0. Everyone